Hi, welcome to Stormwater Maintenance Project Planning for the City of Verona. This is a recorded presentation of a presentation that was originally given live on February 16th, 2022. My name is Marty Cieslik, and I'm the construction manager for the City of Verona. Right now, I'd like to share my screen and run through the presentation. So this project this presentation will go over some of the long-range thinking that the City of Verona is going through right now in planning for maintaining stormwater detention basins. I'll move through it a little bit more quickly than I would in the actual live presentation for brevity's sake, hoping that you'll take advantage of the opportunity to pause the program if you have something of particular interest that you want to look at on a slide. Tonight's agenda, we'll review big picture of stormwater. If you've been in watched any of my presentations in the past, you'll be familiar with this. I'll talk about what we've recently focused on and what's under consideration, and then some new regulations that are coming our way and likely to change things, what we're doing to prepare, and then remind you on some programs that the city has and give you a little bit of some ideas on what you can do to help the city maintain stormwater quality. I always like to remind people that we in Verona are part of the Mississippi River watershed, which covers about 2/3 of the United States. All that water draining down into the Gulf of Mexico. Every year, a zone of water in the Gulf forms that is called a hypoxic or dead zone, where basically the dissolved oxygen is in the water in the Gulf is consumed by the decomposition of the pollutants, and there's no oxygen in that water available for aquatic life. So that's just the dramatic effect on a nationwide scale of why we do the things we do for stormwater management, in particular to clean up stormwater quality in the city of Verona. Recently in Verona, we've been focused on maintaining and doing some bigger maintenance projects on a number of facilities that are upstream of our newly constructed Lincoln Street stormwater facility. And those basins include doing some vegetation burns at the Gateway East Pond. We've been doing, we've got a sump there that we clean out that drains into Gateway Pond. I'll show you that on a map. We've cleaned out and treated Silent Street Pond, where we've done some sampling at the Prairie Oaks Pond and both sediment and water samples, and are looking at doing a major project to clean that pond out. Again, I'll show you that on a map. We cleaned out the Harmony Hills Basin in late 2021, finished up some of the restoration work in cleaned that out in 2020, finished it up in 2021. And then there is another detention basin area upstream of Lincoln Street that we may give some attention to, called the Gateway East Pond. So I'll show you those on a map right now. Our Lincoln Street facility is down behind City Hall off of Lincoln Street and what we call the Lincoln Street Channel. That was constructed during the summer and fall of 2021. It is substantially complete now. Water is being diverted into that basin through a wet pond and into a bioretention area. Very highly engineered facility. Upstream of that, water comes from Silent Street Pond down storm sewer pipes. Silent Street Pond is across from the Verona Public Library. Upstream of Silent Street is the Prairie Oaks Pond. This is the number 23 pond, which I had mentioned that we are planning to do some a major clean out project on this year, next year. There's a pretty good sized pond. It's our second largest one. So this one's going to take some planning. The Harmony Hills Basin is a dry basin up between off of Enterprise near Prairie Oaks Drive up on the north end of town. The Gateway Pond is a natural kettle surrounded by housing that occasionally we have to pump out when we have high water conditions, and that water makes its way into Prairie Oaks Pond, Silent Street Pond, and then down to the new Lincoln Street facility. The Gateway West Pond, that O2 pond that we've done a couple of burns on, is located across the street from Gateway, where Cohiba separates the two. And in between, there's a stormwater sump that we clean out annually. And then this number 36 pond is off of North Main Street. It's not really a noticeable detention basin, but you may see some activity out at that one. So these are the areas that the ponds that we've been concentrating on since 2018 to get ready and put things in the best operating shape that we can for the Lincoln Street facility. Ponds that we have under consideration for some work in over the next couple of years are the Cathedral Point Pond, located in Cathedral Point Park, and the Hawthorne Hills South pond located at Tower Park. So Cathedral Point Pond has some fairly high phosphorus levels. It's in the park. It was built in 2009. The subdivision around it is built out, and now I'm telling our folks that it's time to start planning for doing some work on that one. And then 37 Hawthorne Hills South, or Tower Hill Park, was built in 2005. We've had some complaints about some algae blooms in that pond, so it's time to start paying attention to that one. Cathedral Point Pond is located in Cathedral Point Park. This is a bit of a dated basin map because it doesn't show all of the houses that are built out around it. Here's Westminster Way, and here's East Chapel Royal up on the top of the pond. Here is the Hawthorne Hills South Basin, located off of Fairview Terrace. The water tower for Water Tower Park is located just off of the map here. Some things that are coming down the pike that would derail plans to address these are the fact that the Sugar River is on what's called the 303 list for impaired waters, and it's listed as impaired because of the high levels of phosphorus in the river. And phosphorus is a contributing nutrient. When it's in excess, it causes algae blooms. And the story behind the Sugar River being having high phosphorus is the fact that the DNR has been doing some monitoring, and then also between 2015 and 2017, the Watershed Organization, which I was a part of for quite a number of years, had done phosphorus monitoring at various locations over that 3-year period to get a sense of what the phosphorus levels were in the Sugar River watershed. So this map shows the locations of those sampling points from the various years and the wastewater treatment plant discharges that come into the basin. So wastewater treatment plant discharges are typically relatively high in phosphorus compared to the water quality standard for surface water, particularly streams. And in particular, the flow in the Sugar River Basin and the tributaries that come into the Sugar River, a lot of that flow is wastewater discharge. So MMSD discharges to the Badger Mill Creek up near just east of the Park and Ride lot along East Verona Avenue. If you take that bike path east towards Madison, you'll go past that outfall. It's a big rock structure. And they discharge at about 250 micrograms per liter of phosphorus with their discharge. And that's actually really good level of cleanup for wastewater treatment plants. However, the standard for water quality in rivers is 75 micrograms per liter. Just to give you an idea of where our pond water sits, we've measured phosphorus in a number of our ponds in 2020 and 2021. Our highest level was 933 micrograms per liter. That was at an investment court detention basin near our public works facility. Our best water quality data came from American Way Pond in 2021 after we treated that pond to clean it up. There are some presentations available on the library website that talk about some of these other items. I would encourage you to go and check those out to get a little bit bigger picture of the whole stormwater management program in the city of Verona. The Sugar River data showed that for the most part, the main branch of the Sugar River and the Badger Mill Creek are impaired with phosphorus. That's this red highlighting on the along the streams. And that was a case where the data that was collected 6 times through the course of the year, if that reach had more than half of those data points exceeding the water quality limit, then I marked this on the map as impaired. The blue meant that there would be 2 or less of those sampling events where phosphorus levels were exceeded. So we do have some reaches of creeks in the watershed that are in fairly good shape. Primrose Branch, Mount Vernon Creek. However, the West Branch, because Mount Horeb discharges into that, is impaired along with it, and that's a major contributing tributary to the Sugar River. So this is not absolutely definitive, but this gives you an idea of why we have the problems we do with phosphorus in the Sugar River. The blue areas are the good areas. We've got some good, and then that reach of the headwaters of the Sugar River, we had mixed results. And that was a case where 3 times during that sampling period, water quality standards were exceeded, and 3 times the phosphorus was below the water quality standard. So in the city of Verona, we have 4 receiving waters for our stormwater detention basins. The Badger Mill Creek, the unnamed tributary, Sugar River itself, and then some kettle ponds. So we've taken the city and identified where our stormwater detention basins discharge to in anticipation of some standards coming down the pike where the DNR will change how we're regulated in terms of our stormwater discharge, and being prepared to then address how we handle stormwater coming out of those ponds, depending upon what the DNR decides they want to do or where the regulations drive us. So you can see the gray area, majority of our stormwater detention ponds drain to the Badger Mill Creek. We've got some ponds that drain directly through overland flow to the Sugar River. We have some that drain to kettle ponds, which then have to overflow under flood conditions to get to one of the creeks or the rivers that would get to the Sugar River. And those areas are the hatched areas, and that's up in the northern part of the northeast part of the city of Verona, off of North Main Street, County M, and then our pond out at American Way in the Verona Technology Park, where Wisconsin Brewing is, that actually discharges to a kettle pond as well, which would eventually make its way to the Badger Mill Creek. So that's our drainage situation. So what we've done is to prepare and be ready to react once we know how those regulations are going to come down the pike. So it's not known exactly where the focus is going to come when the DNR decides that it's time to address the fact that the Sugar River is a listed impaired water for phosphorus. There are a couple of strategies. Depends on the permitted entities and how they come together and decide to react to that. Whether the treatment plants decide to go on their own and do some credit trading, or whether more of an adaptive management approach is taken, or the possibility that something called a TMDL, which stands for total maximum daily load, is imposed on the permit holders, where there's a whole series of monitoring. And that would likely be the case if the whole Sugar River, not just the upper Sugar River portion that I've shown on the maps, but that whole portion that drains all the way down into Illinois and into the Pecatonic River is addressed as a impaired water as a unit. So we've sorted those stormwaters into the various receiving waters. We've got our database looking at the years of construction. We're looking at which basins are upstream and which basins are downstream. We're also looking at the pond size ratio to the contributing drainage area. All of these things are factors that will have to be taken into consideration. So this is how the city is preparing for what seems to be an eventuality of having to deal with some different level of regulation than we're currently under for a stormwater discharge permit. So we think that things are going to change, and so that's why we want to put out that the city is doing some preparation work in anticipation of this. We'll want to be flexible. What we think we've got our eyes on for 2 and 3 years may change depending upon how quickly those regulations come on. The ways we're going to look at improving water, we've done some pond treatment. Again, go to some of those other presentations. I've got one on pond treatment. We've done some pond cleanout projects. We're doing vegetation management strategies, looking at trying to enhance the native vegetation to get more infiltration going, get some filtration of that surface water before it gets into the stormwater basins. So here's where you can go to find the rest of those. If you're already watching this as a presentation, you found the site, you can come back out of it and look at some of those other presentations. Here's a list of those other ones that you might want to take a look at. Coming up in March, even though I will be retiring in February, I'm going to be recording a presentation on stormwater basin vegetation burns, and that'll be an informational piece that'll be up on the library, that'll be available. Folks that live near the basins will be notified, and that this is coming up, and we'll be giving them some information on what to expect when we do these vegetation burns. Now, I'd just like to hit you up with a few reminders of some programs we have, some citizen opportunities, and some things about daily life in the city of Verona that help us manage stormwater. The city of Verona currently has a rain garden and rain barrel rebate program. We'll rebate $10 if you install a rain barrel, up to 4 rain barrels per household. You don't have to do them all at once. You can come back. We do keep track of how many you have so that we don't exceed that 4. We also have a very generous native plant rebate program where if you show us the receipt and you've planted native plants in such a way that they're intercepting rainwater, ideally in a rain garden situation where you've put a little depression to catch that water, and those native plants help to infiltrate that water into the ground. You can go to the city website and type in the search box rain barrel rebate or rain garden rebate, and you'll be taken to the web page where you can apply for those rebates online. As a warning, the system that is now in place is likely to be changed as we're going to be rolling over with my retirement to a consultant handling that, and they're going to be going to a more automated where you submit us some pictures, you submit us the receipts, and that rebate will come up, will be issued to you. But for now, this is the program that's in place. Like to remind you of some things. We've got some yard waste and leaf management policies in place. You can go to the city website and look for those, that information on what we pick up, what we don't pick up. Basically, the message I want to get out to you is that the city does not collect yard waste during the growing season. It does collect brush. So that's that bigger woody debris that is a little bit more difficult to handle. We go around the city about every other week and pick up that woody debris. During the leaf season, we'll go around the city almost on a weekly basis to try to get those leaves, where currently our program is to have you put those in the street and we get them picked up with a mechanism that's very different from many other communities. I wouldn't be surprised if that is changed in the relatively near future. But I also want to say that the city gets around more often than other communities do to collect those leaves. So be aware of that. The reason that leaf and yard waste management is important, that vegetation that's left in the street is a source of phosphorus. That's what gets into our stormwater ponds. That's one of the reasons our stormwater ponds can have high phosphorus levels. I'd like to ask you to be a water conscious person. Consider installing a rain barrel, consider installing a rain garden on your property. Keep your trash and your yard waste out of the street. Utilize the fact that the city has a yard waste drop off at Public Works. Consider adjusting your water softener so it cycles just a little bit less. That's a request from MMSD. They have concerns with rising chloride levels in our wastewater, and some of that is due to water softeners. Be judicious with your salt use during the wintertime, and consider joining USRWA, or at the very least, taking advantage of the volunteer programs that USRWA has. USRWA is the local watershed group. It stands for Upper Sugar River Watershed Association. As I said, I was a member of the board. The City of Verona is a member of that organization, and the volunteer opportunities that USRWA provides for citizens in various ways is one of our ways of providing volunteer opportunities for our citizens. So please take advantage of that. If you Google Upper Sugar, it'll take you to the Upper Sugar River Watershed Association website. Thanks for watching. My last day in the city of Verona will be February 24th. I'm retiring. You'll be in good hands with the staff that's taking over. There'll be a little bit of different dividing up of the responsibilities, but I am quite sure that the staff will take great care of you. So have a great day, and thanks for watching.